Have you ever wondered how a single battle could rewrite the destiny of nations? Stop scrolling, because today we're going back to the waters of the Pacific Ocean to June 1942, where one of the most decisive turning points of World War II occurred, the Battle of Midway. This is a story of strategy, deception, and courage. By the end of this video, you'll understand how this battle tipped the scales and altered the trajectory of history in ways that still resonate to this day. First, let's set the scene. It's late 1941, and the United States is reeling from the Japanese surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. Japan, emboldened by its series of swift victories across the Pacific, had a singular aim: to establish naval dominance in the Pacific. To this end, they targeted Midway Atoll, a small cluster of islands strategically situated roughly halfway between Asia and North America. Capturing Midway would give Japan a critical staging ground for future invasions and force the US into a corner. The stakes could not have been higher. The Japanese Navy, under the leadership of Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, devised a complex scheme for luring America's naval forces into a decisive confrontation. But here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. American intelligence had cracked Japanese codes. Weeks before the attack on Midway, US cryptanalysts deciphered Japan's plans and even pinpointed the timing and location of the assault. The result? A trap set for the trap setters. Imagine the tension in the US command centers. Admiral Chester W. Nimitz, commander of the Pacific Fleet, faced a daunting challenge: how to outmaneuver an enemy superior in numbers and resources. With only 3 aircraft carriers, Enterprise, Hornet, and the hastily repaired Yorktown, his forces were outmatched on paper. But intelligence gave the Americans one critical advantage: the element of surprise. Nimitz decided to use this knowledge to preempt Japan's strike, positioning his carriers in strategic hidden locations northwest of Midway. Now let's dive into the action. Dawn, June 4th, 1942. The Japanese attack on Midway begins with waves of bombers and fighter planes launching strikes on the American airfield. However, the primary drama unfolds far from the islands, in the open waters where aircraft carriers duel in a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. The heart of the battle takes place in the sky, with American pilots taking on Japanese aircraft in dogfights that were as chaotic as they were deadly. The turning point came in the mid-morning hours. Groups of American torpedo bombers attacked the Japanese fleet, but their efforts were catastrophically unsuccessful. Most of the planes were shot down, with heavy loss of life. Then, out of almost nowhere, American dive bombers arrived at the perfect moment. Timing and luck were on their side. The Japanese carriers' decks were cluttered with aircraft and bombs as they prepared another wave of attacks. Within minutes, 3 of Japan's 4 massive aircraft carriers, Akagi, Kaga, and Soryu, were engulfed in flames. A 4th carrier, Hiryu, retaliated later that same day, launching planes that inflicted severe damage on the USS Yorktown. But by the next morning, Hiryu too succumbed to American attacks. The once dominant Japanese fleet was battered beyond repair. The immediate consequences were staggering. Japan lost over 3,000 men, 4 irreplaceable carriers, and hundreds of aircraft in what was described as the most stunning and decisive blow in the history of naval warfare. In contrast, the United States lost 1 carrier, the Yorktown, and fewer than 350 personnel. The tide in the Pacific had turned. But why is the Battle of Midway so significant? It wasn't just a tactical victory, it was a psychological one as well. Up until that moment, the Japanese were seen as an unstoppable force. Midway shattered that illusion and provided a critical morale boost for America and its allies. It also marked the beginning of a relentless American counteroffensive, ultimately leading to the liberation of occupied territories and the defeat of Japan in 1945. Zooming out even further, let's explore the lasting impact of Midway. The battle showcased the evolving nature of warfare where aircraft carriers usurped battleships as the ultimate symbols of naval power. It became clear that air superiority was the future of military strategy, a realization that shaped the doctrines of modern navies worldwide. Additionally, the victory at Midway solidified the importance of intelligence in warfare. The painstaking work of cryptanalysts proved that battles could be won before a single shot was fired. This reliance on intelligence became a cornerstone of modern military operations, influencing everything from the Cold War to counterterrorism efforts. What's also fascinating is the cultural legacy of Midway. The heroism of the American pilots and sailors has been immortalized in books, films, and documentaries, embedding the battle in the collective memory of nations. It stands as a symbol of innovation, bravery, and resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. So why does it still matter today? Because Midway teaches us about the impact of preparation, strategy, and the ability to adapt in times of crisis. It reminds us of the power of information and innovation and serves as a cautionary tale against overconfidence and complacency. Modern geopolitics, with its complex alliances and conflicts, still echoes these lessons. Here's the verdict of history. The Battle of Midway wasn't just a military engagement. It was a crucible in which the fate of nations was decided. Its echoes continue to influence our world. As we look back, we are reminded of how fragile and interconnected history truly is. What seemed like an isolated naval skirmish became a moment that determined the global balance of power for decades to come. Thank you for diving into this incredible story with us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more episodes of history. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next chapter of our journey through time.